Hey guys, welcome to the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast special quarantine series, episode number 4. Today we have a special guest who has done everything in the sport of MMA and a guy that is not only my friend, but somebody that I've spent my entire career alongside ever since Ultimate Fighter Season 1. He's responsible for one of the greatest fights in UFC history, a fight that turned basically MMA into the mainstream. He's an author, and he's also a former UFC light heavyweight champion. I'm talking about Forrest Griffin. All right, Forrest Griffin, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's happening, man? Mike, it is great to see you.
It's been a bit.
You're crushing it over there in Thailand, right?
Oh, man, we were, and then now we're shut down. It's kind of a weird situation for us, but thank you. We were doing pretty well, so yeah, things were going good, and obviously things will be back to normal soon. Thailand's taken very, very strict measures against this thing. So let me tell you a little bit about the process. We, when I get done with the podcast here, I did Quentin Jackson last night at like till 4:30 in the morning. So I'm like 3 hours of sleep. But so what I'll do is I'll take these podcasts on a zip drive. I'll have to go to the military checkpoint because we have to stay in our areas. And our areas here in Phuket are divided into like almost like neighborhoods. It's not even like cities.
Yeah.
It's very small. And since my staff, my gym, everything else is in a different area, I'll meet at the checkpoint, talk to the police, let them know what I'm going to do. Then I'll call my staff. My staff will come to the checkpoint, and then we'll make a handover of the USB drive. And then he'll go back and edit the video and the podcast and upload it. And then, so that's so strange, man.
Yeah, sounds right though. Yeah.
But I tell you what, I guarantee you they're gonna get rid of it, man. They're gonna actually, I think, clean it up by going this route and being this strict.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. I mean, that's why China's doing right, and that's why America's, not doing so great.
Yeah, America's not listening, from what I see, too well. I got my New York hat on today just because New York's taking the biggest hit.
You've met a few Americans. It's hard to tell them what to do, right?
Yeah. I'd like to think that I was one at one point until I moved to Thailand and kind of just hadn't been back in a while. But yeah,
it's funny. I thought that was really cool when you did that, when you moved to Thailand and kind of started anew and do your own thing. That's really, it takes a lot of guts to do something like that. It's funny, I moved out to Vegas for the show. I'm still in Las Vegas, man. I'm not 15 years ago when we did The Ultimate Fighter. I'm like 4 miles from there.
Wow.
So you've at least moved a lot more than I have.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely a crazy, ambitious move on my part, but definitely also for the fact that I didn't know there was going to be a widespread pandemic obviously going on. Yeah. Hang on one second.
That would have hurt you wherever you're going. I have a ton, obviously, all my friends here in the gym business. I own a piece of the gym. Man, we're struggling. Staff, all my friends, like, they were able to get paid. Randy Couture, he paid his people the first couple months, but, when we're in month 3, mean, there's paying people that can't work, it's going to be rough. So, it's particularly hard on our community, right? The mixed martial arts, the fitness type community. A lot of us have gone on to do fitness stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, but we'll make it through.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that for sure. What you're doing for quarantine, but I want to also go over what we just talked about, the 15-year reunion. So, can you believe it's been 15 years since we were in the house? Like, wow, that's crazy to me.
And I don't even remember. It seemed like just yesterday I was making you candy bar smoothies.
I was going
protein powder in them, so they had to be good for it.
That was literally one of the things I was going to ask you about. Nobody saw that on camera, and we would meet in the kitchen. Like the camera crew would kind of go back into their offices or go to bed or whatever around 12, 1, 2 o'clock when everybody went to sleep. You'd go back in the kitchen. I'd meet you in the kitchen, and you'd start making these protein shakes. I remember the first time, because you had more experience than me. You were more of a fighter than I was at that time, well, always since then as well, but you had more experience, you had more fights. So I'm like, all right, man, he's gonna make a protein shake. I'm kind of hungry. This is gonna be good, man. He knows more about what to do. I'll let him be in charge. And I was just standing there with you, and you're putting in like protein and like healthy stuff, and then you're just like, fucking put a candy bar in there, like some ice cream. And I was like, oh shit, we can do that? Like you,
No,
you can you.
we can't. Here I am, 233 pounds, just, struggling to make weight. That was the biggest thing. You could do that because you were fighting at like 205 at the time,
I was in your division.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I was so heavy at the time, man. I was like, oh, man. And that was just like, crazy calorie deficit binging,
Yeah, it's crazy, man. What did, I guess I was going to ask you, obviously we talked since then, we had the reunion and we did other little things since then, but what is the one thing that you remember that happened in the house that they didn't air that I guess is the most memorable for you? Like, obviously that was one thing, but what was one of the bigger things? And then I'll tell you one that I remember.
So for me, one that I'm really glad they didn't use is I had a lot of trouble making weight to fight Sam Hoger. And I don't know if you remember, or you might not have been in the house at the time. I don't remember. And then they ordered us sushi, which is not the brightest thing to eat before a fight. But I don't know if it was the sushi or the portion I ate, but the night before that fight, I was actually up all night, and I think it's because I was naked in the shower, like with the shower in my head, just vomiting again and again and again.
Oh, God.
And then I was like, never eat sushi again before a fight. And yet I did actually eat sushi again before a fight. So I didn't learn. It's very, very low IQ on that one.
So sushi from Las Vegas wasn't the freshest, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Hey, they fly it in fresh every day. Swick, I did not even eat sushi till I moved to the middle of the desert, and now I love sushi. I don't have an explanation. I used to live literally on the coast, like an hour from the beach, the ocean. Now I live in the middle of the desert. I eat sushi. So what was your memory that didn't make the show?
My memory was, so I fought Stephan Bonnar and that like final fight, which wasn't the final fight, but was the final fight of the show. Not the finale, but the show. And after the fight, we got back to the house and Stephan went in the shower to take a shower. If you remember that, I don't know. Yeah. So he went in to take a shower and he was in the shower for like a really, really long time, Well, and what happened was he opened the window.
Go to the liquor store, right?
He crawled out the window and then went like 2 miles away to a liquor store, got alcohol, got drunk, and then came back.
We were all trying to cover for him.
Yeah.
And it was such a long walk that he was sober by the time we got back from all the walking and running. And then we had tried to cover for him, oh no, don't. He's it's like he's banged up. Leave him alone. And they were like, oh, he's banged up. We need to get the doctor to see him. I was like, yeah, call the doctor. All right. But yeah, and then Andrea came in and started, and he almost got kicked off the show that night. And Dana tells that story too about how he almost got kicked off the show that night. It's crazy.
Since it was the last night. And, it doesn't help when you take an hour and a half shower and then you come out of the bathroom and you're more dirty than when you came in. You got mud and dirt all over your arms and your face. And we're just bro, clean your...
It's crazier still because I don't know if you remember, but the window he crawled out of was not
super small.
Oh, my God. It was crazy. I was like, man. Stephan, he might, if he was in prison, he might get out because I didn't see a man his size getting through that window. That was impressive.
Some Shawshank Redemption stuff there.
And so he almost, Dana almost kicked him off that night. The producer, Andrea, she wanted him gone. And then, obviously they kicked him off. You probably would have got to fight me and the UFC would have tanked. You would have knocked me out in 30 seconds, and there was just get Diego.
Can we agree on one? Can we agree on one thing though? For sure, one of us would have been knocked out if we fought.
Maybe.
I don't see us going to a decision. I think the way you swing and the way I swing, for sure, somebody would have connected and it would have ended. It wouldn't have been definitely the greatest fight in history.
The way we swang back then.
Yeah.
Exactly. Later in my career, I was like, oh, I touched her. That's cool. I'm going to move over here now. Yeah. But for sure, at that point in my career, I was just like, all right, I'm going to throw this hammer, and I'm going to throw this hammer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why the up-and-comers are the ones to watch, and that's that's something that I try to do a lot. I just saw um, your guy
Manel.
from got signed to UFC. What's his name?
Manel Cap. I was with him in
Yeah,
Japan when he won the
yeah,
championship against Asakura.
yeah, yeah. He's a stud, man. He's 35 or 25? 35?
Years old?
No, no, he's 30. Fights at 135.
Oh yeah. I thought you meant. I was like, no, he's not 30, 35. Yeah. He can fight at different weights. But
Yeah,
yeah, he's a 35er and he is a beast, man. He's like, man, the
yeah,
level that he's went up since he came to AKA Thailand is incredible, man. He's done really well. We've had a few fights with Ryzen up until that fight, and then they gave him the championship fight. And so now he's fighting. He was already becoming a star, and then now he's fighting at New Year's Eve, the big Ryzen show championship fight against Asakura, 30,000 people, and that was a huge moment for me and for him. Obviously for him the most, and for his career, but just for me being there was great. And then now he got signed with the UFC. That was awesome. And now he's living his dream, man. His dream was to get in the UFC and be
yeah.
a champion. So and I think he can do it. I think he has everything it takes to be a champion. So I think he's well on his way.
Yeah, he's got a great tool set. Hey, let me ask you something. I don't get to do it much anymore, and everybody always asked me to do it at the time, and I didn't love it at the time, but now I miss it and wish I'd done it more. And that's cornering people. Do you how do you feel about cornering people? Do you love it? Do you?
I think that's one of the best things that I do, even over
Yeah,
fighting. I think I can corner somebody better than I
yeah,
can fight, better than I can coach in general. I haven't been able to coach as much building the gym, being that I have so much business obligations. But now that we had this pause and we're having to shut down, and when we restart, I'm going to try to put more emphasis back into coaching a little bit more, being in the classes more, especially as it gets built back up, because the focus is going to be, instead of expansion, which is what I was doing up until the closure, it's going to be just building the gym back up and coming back strong. I'm fired to come back and be as big as we were before and bigger. So I'm going to do a lot more coaching. But for me, cornering is it's more nerve wracking than when you fight, because you can't be the person. So it's like, you have to hope they do what you say, or they do what's right. And if they don't, you're a nervous wreck, because you can't actually physically do it for them. You just got to sit there and watch whatever happens. But it's also very exciting when they win, like he did against Asakura. He listened to the game plan. He went out there and won. And that feeling when they pull him off the opponent or whatever, and it's almost it's very close to the same as when we're fighting and they pull that pull us off of our opponent or something. So it's kind of a way to live vicariously through your fighters and get some of those moments that we had.
Now I'll tell you something. People that really enjoyed cornering, that's a great thing, because that's selfless. That's being able to take pure pleasure in somebody else's victory, and that you had a part of it. But that is that's a really cool thing. For me, I enjoyed if they won the fight. I enjoyed that, but you show up Tuesday, it sucks. You wait around. You know what?
Yeah.
It was just like, for me, that waiting, and then you go to the press conference with them, and you sit there, and then you go to the weigh-in with them, and then you go to a ceremonial weigh-in. I was like, oh my God, I hated doing this when I fought. Now I'm doing this for other people, and I'm not even really getting paid that much for it. This sucks. So for me, it was just the whole week of the fight, And then fight day, if you're a good corner person, what do? You go hang out with them at 1 or 2 o'clock, and you make your jokes, and you try to keep them lighthearted, and you keep the mood light, and you keep them from, this is an important thing, right? Keep them from thinking about fighting until it's time to think about fighting, and then you make sure they're thinking about fighting. But for me, that was always like, man, I would rather just be doing something else, and literally, just let me go to your workouts, and then I'll just work you out an hour a day, show up at the corner you, and leave,
It's fun, and it's challenging. You feel like you have a lot of responsibility. So like I said, it's, the nerves are there still. You get a lot of the excitement that we had when we were fighting. It's just you don't obviously get beat up, and, you don't get the excitement as much when you win, and as far as your career and kind of your journey, but it's through someone else, which is actually a little bit better sometimes. So
Yeah. But I mean, it's still, it's funny. And I work with a lot of people, you met my buddy Dean, came down
yep,
there. Thanks for taking care of him, by the way.
no
And
worries.
it's, that's when your journey as a fighter ends, your journey as a coach begins. And
Right,
then you start cornering people and working with people. And that's a whole new, it's a whole new system of rewards and punishments, and it's a whole new mindset, and it's a tough one, right? So like figuring out the best way to train people that aren't you is actually, for me, I found it to be pretty hard, because if you're beat up, hey, I take a day, or towards the end of my career, I knew how to train, right?
right. Yeah, for me, just coming up with AKA, like we had Frank Shamrock on the team, so it was Team Shamrock. Then he left, and so it was just a bunch of guys having to like build our own team, build our own system, and so it was like trial and error. So it was like me and Thompson and Trevor Prangley and Paul Buenatello and Bobby Southworth and a few other guys, and we just had to start Team AKA and start keeping what's good and taking away what doesn't work, and it was just like, so that kind of taught me sort of more so the coaching side and training side, so that helped me. I wanted to
I
ask
didn't
you though.
realize you've been there that long. That's amazing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was there when we formed AKA, man. Like we formed the actual team AKA, so long time, man. Definitely a long time. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is your quarantine like? I mean, like what are you doing for quarantine, and what do you think of this whole coronavirus taking over the world?
Well, I mean, as you can see, if you look around, this is not. So, I've been working at the UFC for 7 years now, believe it or not.
Wow.
And when I got that office, when they opened the new campus, whatever, I got an office. I gave up my home office, so now it is now my daughter's schoolroom and my wife's crafting room, and I've
Yeah.
had to move back in it for these last 3 weeks. And I mean, it sucks, man. You can imagine me, right? I'm not going to email you, right? I want to walk down to your office, say, hey, what's up? Here's what we're trying to do, or if we're communicating with fighters, telling somebody the strategy, it's easier to show it to them and ask them, and hand them a piece of paper, and I like that kind of tactile way to communicate with people. So it's been tough on me to try and communicate with people, as I'm sure it is for you, like this.
Yeah. And so
Basically,
you're
I'm saying, suck at this, Swick. I suck at this. Just talking to human beings is so much better.
but are you staying home and like staying safe and like taking all the
Oh yeah,
precautions,
no, I
you're
am.
not, I guess you're not training as much right now, and you're just trying to stay in and stay safe, keep the family safe.
I mean, I work out every morning at my house in my living room, because we don't have a gym in our house. I
Yeah.
mean, I figured I don't have any gym stuff, which is ironic, but
Yeah.
I've worked at a gym or lived at a gym like you, right? I live at a gym. I'm spend most of my waking hours at the gym. I don't need to come home to another gym, but ironically now I wish I had a gym.
Yeah, it's crazy because I have, AKA Thailand, and then, I was going there to train because like nobody else was there.
Yeah,
And the government mandate um,
don't do it. Yeah,
kept us in our area. And then here I am at my house, which, I have nicely set up with everything but a gym.
but
And so now
because
it's like,
why would you do that, Mike? You own a
yeah,
gym.
it's
You're at a
8 minutes to the
gym all
gym.
day. Yeah,
So it's
same
like
here. Same
it's
here.
like push-ups and like like basically just push-ups and like self body weight stuff when I can, and
Yeah.
I've been trying to get some sprints out front, and like I don't even know if we can go outside. They passed a new law Monday, so I don't even know if we can even walk around outside anymore. But what do you think about the coronavirus, man? Like this seems like it's gonna be the craziest thing of our generation. I mean, there's I believe right now 586,000 cases in America, 525
Yeah.
are active, and almost 24,000 people dead already. Half of
You
which
know,
almost is in New York.
for me, over here as an American, I think it's the next generation's 9/11. I was 21 or 2 when 9/11 happened, and that kind of shaped my world perception, whatever. I think for the kids coming up today, this will shape kind of the way they think and feel about things. And, I'm worried about, going to working for a company whose job is to sell 20,000 seat arenas out. Do you
Yeah.
really want to go be in 20? I don't want to be around 20,000 people right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it's going to change the way of life, the way of business. We were we were all moving online anyway, right? This
Right.
is just going to hasten that a little bit.
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry for this little break. Got to thank our sponsor, AKA Thailand, and tell you about a reopened special that we are still currently doing. 30% off for all pre-bookings on group classes. So we've gotten a lot of messages from you guys saying you're coming, you're stir crazy, you can't wait to get this crisis over with. Obviously, we're going to be here when you guys get out of this and when we all get over this pandemic. And I want to help you out with that by giving you 30% discount as long as the sale lasts. So until we reach our budget, we're going to offer this sale. 30%. All you got to do is go to akathailand.com. All the pricing is set up on the website. You can just book it right on there. Again, it's for all group classes. You can do a week, you can do a month, you can do 3 months, you can do 6 months, you can do a year. Until we get to that budget, you can buy at 30% off, save yourself some money. So not only can you come after you get out of this home quarantine and come to Thailand and train, get some sun, have some excitement, but I'm going to help make it easier for you at 30% discount. Now, a question that we have been getting a lot of lately is, can you use that training anytime? I think everyone thinks that once they buy the training, they have to use it right away. With the crisis going on and the travel restrictions, you guys obviously don't know when you're going to be able to come to Thailand. This training is redeemable anytime for the price that you paid. So if you go on there right now and book a month of training, you can use that month as soon as this crisis is over. You can use it in a year from now. You can use it in 2 years from now. And we'll also let you transfer it. So say you injure yourself and you can't actually make it, or you decide not to come, you can give it to your buddy or one of your students or one of your friends, whatever the case, and they can use your training session. So again, akathailand.com. The site's already set up at 30% discount. You just got to purchase on the pricing page. And if you have any questions, just email info@akathailand.com. Thank you. Yeah, and going back to 9/11, I mean, the crazy thing about it is, 9/11 hit us hard, and not only was it hard to overcome the losses of the individuals that died, first responders, the fire team, the people in the buildings, but it was also a financial impact that was really hard to get over. And right now, we're 8 times the death toll, and this is just kind of getting started in America. So it's like 8 times the death toll, and obviously way bigger of a financial impact. So it's like, it's scary to think how this is gonna resolve, and it's a worldwide thing. It's not just America. So it's like, how the hell, like for me as a business owner, you know what I mean? Like I have to hold the weight of the business, and like I'm able to do so because of cash reserves and because I've made money in business. But how long can I do that and come back strong and come back healthy and everything when we do open? And how many other people can do that? Like how many other people can hold their businesses, and pay all those bills for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months? Like that's going to be the question.
Well, think about Las Vegas too. What do people do here? They work in the service industry, right? That's why this town exists. It's because it's a cool place to come to with people that'll take care of you, And most of my friends, barbers, people that work in gyms, people that bartenders, cocktail waiters, whatever, those people aren't working at all right now. So worse still for you, are they even going to have the money to get that gym membership when they do start working again? Probably not, right?
So. Yeah, luckily I think the stir crazy aspect, we get a lot of messages. I think that might help my business. I guess different than most of the tourist business in Thailand. I think you're right. There's not going to be a lot of people that's going to pop out of this and be like, I want to go spend a bunch of money on a vacation. I think that's definitely going to happen or be true. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be like, I want to get out of my house, get to Thailand and train and get in shape. And it's obviously cheap when you get here. So I'm hoping that's the case and we can get back, started again with a big crowd and get things rocking and rolling. That's the hope, and I obviously would love to see this thing die out before more people get killed. It seems like it's it's like 1,500 to 2,000 people a day just in America alone. I mean that's a crazy number. That's a crazy stat, So what are you doing around your house? I mean, obviously this is the first time we've all been kind of home quarantined and stuff. Like, what are you doing to like not be stir crazy? And like, are
Well,
you watching any Netflix or?
oh yeah, you know me. I love some TV, man. Well, I'm spending some time with the family. I'm getting my workouts in the morning. Just finished the Ozarks up. It was great.
I'm watching
You
that.
know, working on Better Call Saul right now. I watched the Freud one. It was good. I watched about 90 minutes of TV a day. I love TV shows. I love them. But so I'm actually spending a lot of my time just like working on self development, right? So I'm going to take the
Cool.
CSCS, hopefully the Certified Strength and Conditioning course by the end of the year. I start a college. I'm taking a college class just for the heck of it. May 9th, I think it starts. And then, so we're working on like a year 3, the second journal, right? So we did the first journal a couple years ago, the UFCPI, just kind of like a position statement on information about MMA as a sport, right? So now we're doing and the follow up to that, right?
Right.
I keep thinking you're frozen because our screens keep freezing. I'm like, no, Mike is
You're
just a
good.
very still. He's just a very still human being.
I'm like,
He just
yeah,
doesn't
I'm
move.
just listening, bro. I'm listening to everything you're
Yeah,
saying. I'm attentive. I'm attentive.
yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
awesome, man. And getting back real quick to the Netflix thing, have you seen? I got to ask you this, man. I've asked my last couple guests. Have you
I,
have you seen have you seen Tiger King?
I haven't, but I feel like I could talk about it with you,
You knew what I was
even
gonna
though
ask.
it's just one of those things. Yeah, Carol did it. She killed that fella.
Yeah,
She's
but you
having the
know
time.
that, even though you haven't watched it.
Yeah, not an episode, but I know that. Yeah,
Dude,
it's
you gotta
funny.
watch it. You have to watch it, man. It's
All
not
right.
just a coincidence that everybody's watching the show, man. It really is like mind blowing, and it's one of those shows where it just you watch the first episode and you're like, okay, that's crazy,
Yeah,
and then episode 2 you're like, oh my god, that's more crazy than the first episode, and then it just continues to the very end. 7 episodes of
yeah,
just getting like you can't imagine by episode 4 that it can get any more crazy than it is, and it just continues, and you're just like, oh my god, how in the world is this like real life?
yeah. Now they're selling tigers to drug czars or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so crazy. Um, yeah. So, one thing I wanted to ask you too, about our careers and stuff. Do you feel, because you obviously had one of the greatest fights in UFC history. Tough Season 1 was very impactful for the UFC and for going mainstream and stuff. Do you
Yep.
feel we were ahead of our time? And do you regret that considering how it is now? Or do you think we were lucky because it wasn't as saturated and we got to get a bigger piece of the pie back then versus like right now? It'd be harder, especially for me, to be able to make the name that I made back then right now with the talent pool.
Like
And
70, yeah. So, look, man, both of us, we were at the right place for
yeah,
us. I was a pretty good athlete, but I wasn't good enough to play college football. The guys in the UFC today, they're becoming more and more athletic. I didn't start training until I was 20. Guys today, they start wrestling when they were 8, doing taekwondo when they were 12 or something. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
like, I never did martial arts growing up. I just saw some people fighting in the gym in Athens, and I thought, that looks cool. I bet I could do that. Literally, like, I could do that. It didn't look that hard,
yeah,
And so I think for me, I was in just the right position. For me, man, I wish I'd had a second half of my career. I was I was scheduled to have a fight, and I blew my knee out 20 days before the fight, and then I was like, I'm done mentally. Just so whatever. And about 8 months later, I was thinking, man, you know what? I feel pretty good. I was moving around my physical therapy with some high school kids doing foot ladder drills, and I was like, man, I'm doing all right. And then I was playing soccer with some 5-year-olds, and my daughter was like 3 maybe. And I popped my knee again. Or my daughter was 2 maybe. We're at the park. I'm showing off with some 5 and 6-year-olds, but they were Mexican. They're real good at soccer.
yeah.
And I was trying to whatever, and I popped my knee, and that was it for me. So I definitely wish I felt like I had more. I retired at 35. How old were you when you retired?
2015, I was 37.
37. Okay. Yeah.
It's been 10 years for you, right? Something like that. 10 years since your last fight was Tito.
2013, 7.
7 years.
Over
so 7 years.
Yeah. 2013. Yeah.
And there'd be nothing that would convince you to fight again. And I know the answer. I get asked this question every time I make a post about anything relating to fighting. So I have to ask you: is there anything that would cause you to fight again?
Your problem is that you're in a gym all the time and you look really fit. That's what your problem is.
Yeah.
I don't think that fit. Some people don't ask me as much, but hey, man, if this Corona gets much worse and I get let go, I might have to fight somebody for something. I don't have a huge skill set, right? And that's unfortunately why guys hang on too long. Is it you go, like I went from making $26,000 a year as a cop, and then the next year I made maybe 30 grand, and then the next year I made like $80,000, dude. And I thought I was like, oh my God, I'm loaded.
Yeah.
For the show I fought in the UFC, I had 2 wins in the UFC or something like that. Sponsorships. I'm doing commercials, and I'm like, oh my God, this was less than a year ago, I was, driving around a beat cop, and I wasn't even very good at that.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's a hard sport to quit, man.
But it's also a hard sport to go back to when you're past it, because it never seems to yield good results. And that's why I've been so persistent on, even when I had my LASIK surgery, which was only like a few months ago, they said, well, we know you fight, and if we do the regular LASIK surgery, you can't get hit in the eyes and fight anymore, or we can do PRK, just leaves that option open. And I'm like, nope, put the LASIK. And I'm looking for any excuse to know that I can't fight again, because I know mentally right now I don't want to ever have to fight again, because it's not going to be a good result. We're past it, and the sooner we know that and recognize that, the better. But I want to ask you too. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing would be you just got to fight other old people that are past their prime. I believe they call that Bellator. Come on, let's do it. Now Bellator's got a lot of good up and comers too, but they just mix it in,
Yeah.
Get the guys to try to get the new guys up there, but yeah.
Now you're right though, and the thing I was gonna ask you too. So of your full career, you've obviously had a ton of fights, champion. I mean, you've done everything there is to do in the sport, including the biggest thing to evolve it. Is there any one fight or one person that you wish you had fought, not necessarily for anger, but just for maybe stylistically, that you never got to fight?
So I sparred with Wanderlei Silva for about 2 years, and I always thought that would have been a cool fight to have. When we were both in our prime, I thought that would have been a cool fight. I'm not saying I would have won that fight. Not at all. But I'm saying it would have been a cool fight. It would have been one. I had some, and I'm sure you're the same way, man. I had sparring sessions that were harder than any fight I've ever had. And then I was just like, why? Why did you do that, Forrest? So yeah. How about you? Who did you want?
You actually got to tango with the guy that I wanted to fight. But just like you, at the time, I don't think I was as familiar with how powerful and crazy this guy was. I fought my way up to I was 4-0 in the UFC, and then I fought David Loiseau for the #1 contendership. That made me technically, I guess, the #1 contender ranking-wise. And then Travis Lutter won the TV show, so he jumped ahead and fought Anderson Silva. But I was supposed to fight Anderson Silva after I beat David Loiseau. And so I could either sit around and wait and fight Anderson, or I could take another fight, which I fought Yushin Okami and dropped the decision. But I really wanted that Anderson Silva fight. I really wanted that. Yeah, I really wanted the Anderson.
Got knocked out too. Yeah.
I wanted that Anderson Silva fight bad, but again, then looking at what happened since then, it's like, did I really want that fight? Did I really want that fight?
If I could give it to you, I would. I would give you that fight in a heartbeat if I could. I would give it right to you. have this Anderson fight. I don't need it.
Yeah, several fights later, I was like, maybe my drop to welterweight and getting away from that whole division with that
Yeah.
Anderson Silva guy in it was probably a good move because that dude was savage. He was a
Yeah.
ninja.
Yeah, but then you had the GSP who's going to get you
Yeah.
anyway at 70. So he was dominating. So it was
Dude,
a
talk
rough
about
shot.
somebody. Let me tell you about, unlike you, let me tell you about somebody who drops the ball. So I got into the Ultimate Fighter off of a loss to Chris Lieben. So I dropped the ball on that fight, first loss of my career. Somehow get on the Ultimate Fighter. I get my chance on the Ultimate Fighter. I drop the ball in the last fight against Stephan Bonnar.
Yeah.
Somehow I get into the UFC. I
Almost had him
go
there. Thing.
I go 5-0 in the UFC, and then I get to be number one contender to fight Anderson Silva. I fight this unknown Yushin Okami in my hometown. Close fight, dropped the ball against that, lost my title shot. Went down to welterweight, gained another 4 or 5 fights, forgot how many in a row. Got back to number one contendership. Fought Dan Hardy to fight GSP. So the winner, I finally get one more fight
Oh,
to then fight GSP and fight the champion of the welterweight division after winning 4 or 5 fights in a row. I drop the ball on that and lose my fight against GSP. Like who's dropped the ball like more than me? Like I made a career of dropping the ball,
yeah.
winning good fights, but not winning the fight.
Dropping the ball at the goal line. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's the story of my life, bro.
Yeah, but and I might cut out here in a second, but you were there. You did it. You swang. That's and people always quote that man in the arena thing, right? But it's so true. It's like, man, you were there. You gave it your all. You put yourself in those positions. I don't think even like now, as an old man, I don't see how I ever did that, man. Just with my ego and with doing that to yourself, putting yourself out there, really going for it like that. That's hard, man. People don't realize.
Yeah. So last question. I know you got to go, and I appreciate you taking the time out for the podcast. How is it working with the PI Center and with the UFC still and Dana and everything? And then I know you were working on some stuff in China. Obviously, that's probably on hold at the time. Or
Yeah.
at this time. So how is working at the PI Center and what has this affected as far as the PI Center in China?
Well, they're shut down most likely till June-ish, and then so they've got a whole academy class, 23 fighters that basically train there for free and will fight in smaller promotions and hopefully just raise the overall level of mixed martial arts in China. It's a huge fan base. You got Zhang Weili, the Chinese champion. You've got Song Yadong, a contender. You've got a lot of great people and fans in China, and of course a martial arts history culture. So it's great, and I'm so glad we opened one in China because there's a mixed martial. There's an actual technical tactical, right? There's an MMA portion to it, right? And whereas in the PI in Las Vegas, basically people come to me and I refer them to what they need. Like you would come to me and say, "Hey, man, I'm a little heavy." I'm like, "All right, hey, I got a guy." You know what?
Yeah.
You come to me. So there's a lot more for me to do with the China Academy. Whereas, in Vegas, basically, and this is just anybody that's watching this. If you're in the UFC and you need something physiological, physically, mentally, come to me. Let me know. I know the people. I hired the best staff in the world, man. I can hook you up. So, people come to me and I say, "What do you need?" Okay, this is the guy or gal that's going to get you squared away, right? And I like that, right? So people come. That's a great thing about MMA as opposed to boxing. You'll lose a fight or two, and then you come in and you say, "Hey, is this the right weight class for me?" I don't know. Let's talk to this guy. Let's do some tests. Let's get you a DEXA. Let's get you to metabolic resting ratio type thing. Let's find out how many calories you're burning, and let's see if that is in fact the right weight class for you. Let's measure your arms, etc. People come, I didn't feel strong or my conditioning. All right, I know a guy who can fix that. I know a woman. She's going to help you out. You're banged up. We got a great team. So, I mean, that's really awesome. And, again, it's a lot like what you get to do, right? I get to work with young and up and comers and to help their careers, you know, hopefully explode. And
Yeah.
then my old friends come in. Like I just got to do a little bit with T Wood. Always good to
Yep.
see him. He was out hanging out with you.
Yeah, he was the first guest on this new quarantine series, and
Uh,
yeah, I still remember you giving me the tour of the PI Center, and I was just blown away, man. Like
yeah.
how crazy it is. So, and I appreciate you sending me messages and sending me people to AKA Thailand and staying in touch over the years as you have. And I definitely got to ask you. Lastly, when are you going to come out here to AKA Thailand and check out the gym and let me show you around Phuket, man? Because it's amazing.
I definitely will. So I go to China quite a bit, and that is a short flight, right, from China.
Yep.
Well, it's not that long a flight, right?
It's like
So I'll
5-6
definitely,
hours.
yeah, I mean, but if you've already gone 30 hours, what's it?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you're fine.
but yeah, I'll definitely stop in, and I want to see it. Like that's Thailand is the hot spot where people are training, where you're seeing all these, you know, people coming from, and then that's where like the Shevchenko sisters are going to train, and everybody's going there to get their, apparently it's just a great place to train. I've been to AKA, I've been to ATT, I've been to Jackson's, but I've never been to the gyms in Thailand. Right? I've only been to the gyms in the States, and I want to go through Thailand just as a research project. What are you guys
Yep.
doing? How do you guys structure your practices? What's making you successful? What can I steal from you and bring back here?
Yeah, you've already asked me a bunch of questions before, but AK Thailand is definitely a very unique place. It's like no other gym in the world, and where we're going with it, where we were going, especially before this pandemic, and hopefully after, once we get back open again, is going to be even a cooler place, and we're going to do something that's never been done before. So I can't wait to show you, man, and can't wait to show you Phuket as well, and hang out with you here. And we've been through a lot together, man. It's we kind of started this whole like turn for the better on Tough One, and stayed in touch all throughout the year. So it's great talking to you again, and thanks for being on the podcast. And stay safe, man.
You
Stay
too,
inside.
man.
Don't
Sounds
get
like
this
you're
shit.
doing all the right things, though.
I'm trying, man. It sounds like you are too. Just stay inside, man, and don't get this shit.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man. Thanks
All
so
right, bro.
much.
Take
All
care.
right, man.
Bye-bye. All right, so there you have it, Forrest Griffin. I've been wanting to get him on the podcast for a while. I haven't caught up to him and got to have that long of a conversation in so long. We stay in touch through email. He's been sending people to the gym here. Obviously we have small talk, but it was really cool to catch up to him. And I actually talked to him more in this podcast than I did at the reunion that we did. A lot of you guys probably don't know, but we actually had a tough reunion in Las Vegas, and they aired it on Fight Pass, I think. But it's good to see he's doing good, and he's working at the PI Center in Las Vegas, and I think he's going back and forth to China. But it's always great talking to him, and you can't. It's what he's done for the sport. It's just incredible. I mean, he was there at the right time at the right place, like he said, and that fight he had with Stephan Bonnar that's it, man. That's what created opportunities for a lot of you guys out there and changed the entire sport. So anyway, great to have him here and see what he was doing during quarantine and see how he was handling it and get his thoughts. So hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe if you're on the audio platforms and listening to this on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify. Please subscribe to us there. If you're watching on YouTube, I suggest watch. It's always good to see us talk in person, because sometimes we like smile and do things that we normally didn't do in our fight career. We tell jokes and laugh at them. So definitely advise you to go to YouTube and check us out, where you can actually see. If that's the case, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow this thing. I told you guys I was going to be putting these out, and we're serious about it. This is the 4th podcast we've done in a week. We got Tyron Woodley and Michelle Watterson out right now. Quentin Jackson I did literally a few hours ago. I only had 3 hours of sleep between Quentin Rampage Jackson and this interview with Forrest Griffin conversation. I don't even want to say interview. I never want to do interviews. So this is four podcasts in a week, and we're going to keep them going strong. So stay tuned, and hope you enjoy the show. And if you have any suggestions, leave comments on YouTube, and we'll answer them and hopefully get the guests that you want and ask them the questions that you want. So I appreciate the support, and thanks for watching, and thanks for listening.
Real quick, with Mike Swick.